Why did we do that again? I don't know why the music's playing and there's no picture. Hello, everybody. Welcome to Needing a Meeting. My name is Carol. I will be your host today. Oh, I know what it is. There it is. There it is. Okay. Doing great today. Boy, we're just really firing on all cylinders. And I have with me plant free and veg. Show without you guys. And thank goodness, was it you, Ben, that noticed that I had not gone live yet?
I thought it was odd. I wouldn't see any other screen kick on.
Well, hello, Southern. Hey, Shannon.
Minor. Oh.
Hey, Rolling Stone. Good to see you guys. Really good to see you guys. Boy, am I glad to be home.
I bet.
Yep.
I bet. So how long is the drive to Mississippi? Mississippi and back, how long did it take you?
Well, it's about 8 hours from where we live to the town that we went to in Mississippi. But on the way back, we stopped through another little town where his mom lives and went to visit her for an hour. So that was all these back little Mississippi and Arkansas country roads. And yeah, if you're having to navigate your whole trip, it's pretty stressful. But
navigating can be very stressful. Yeah.
Crystal, weekend, we survived it. We're both alive. That's about as much as I can say, other than the fact that we do have Mama's headstone in, and so that feels pretty good. That's a load off. That's been weighing on me. Hello, Mayonnaise Entertainment. Well, I've been wondering if there's a way to turn around regret so that it's not regret, but it's something that you can learn from, take something from, you know, because I haven't found the way yet.
Is there any feeling that is similar to the feeling of regret other than sadness?
Right.
Yeah.
And guilt.
With something like, if you're giving a presentation or anything like that, if you're nervous, you can reframe it to say, I'm not nervous, I'm excited, because it's so close to the same feeling.
True.
Distinguishable. And if you look on it that way, but I don't know if you can do that with regret.
You're right, Shannon Smith. It does need to be reframed and learned from, because it is such a waste of time and energy and emotion, and it never lets up once it's got its hooks in you. You know?
I love that idea of reframing. I personally feel like that works for everything. But my therapist is always the one to initiate that process with me. I never think to do it by myself.
Yeah.
She is like a magician with it.
Wow.
I called Christy my little therapist because she does all of the, she's like, okay, so let's try and reframe that for you. You know, it's a learning opportunity. So what are we learning from this? You know?
Hey, Rebecca. Sorry to keep you waiting back there. I don't know how long you were there before I noticed you. I apologize.
For a while. It's okay.
And
to be fair, we didn't know we were not live at first. Ben pointed it out, so we restarted.
Yeah. Like I said, firing on all cylinders today. Got it going on.
Wow.
I have so much regrets. I just try to learn and move on as hard as it is. Yeah. We're talking about regret and, and how do you turn it into a positive, or, how to reframe it, how to make it a lesson instead of just a butt kicker,
Mhm.
Well, well,
I
I guess you could always say now I know in the future I won't. But that sounds so weak, just to put it that way. I won't do X, and if you,
right?
I have learned that I will no longer, when faced with Y, I will no longer do X.
Right.
I
Mhm.
mean, that would, yeah, I need
Mhm.
Christy on here for that kind of, she's really good at that kind of thing.
Yeah. She's great at
Well,
reframing things.
I was
Yeah.
thinking with regret, it's more so, well, for me anyways, if I'm reframing it into a learning opportunity, for example, I regret much of my last situation and the way that I reacted. So I'm able to say that. Now I'm able to break that down further. So what is it that I can reframe and say is the learning opportunity? I can say that I learned a lot about myself and the way that I react.
Mhm.
So the only thing that I can change is myself and my reaction.
That's
So
true.
it's, for me, in this learning opportunity, it's how to alter my reactions to similar situations. But then at the same time, I'm not allowing, well, I can't say that I'm not allowing myself, because it could very well possibly happen again in the future. I could become blind to something because of love or respect or whatever, but I do not plan on that ever happening again.
Yeah.
So the learning opportunity for me is education is everything, and I can only learn how I got myself in that situation.
Sure.
Yeah.
And then, figuring out how do I better react to X situation.
Yeah.
Well, and that was one of the things that came up earlier with a different, kind of different. It really wasn't a regret so much as it was somebody in the chat was saying, um, it's a shame I didn't know anything about narcissists until I was in a situation with one. I did not know how to do this.
Yeah.
But the thing was, you had no, I
Reference.
mean, that's being a little hard on yourself because you
That's true.
didn't know you'd be faced with that situation ever.
No.
So,
You know,
and
And
that's
I
if you're
what,
think
not,
we
if
all
you're,
want to believe. I think we all want to believe that everybody's good at making bad decisions. At least that's what it was for me.
yeah.
well, yeah, and if you're someone who is not that, who's not out to, predate on people, you don't even have it in your mind that that's a thing. So you trust everybody,
Mhm. Mhm.
and you just can't imagine that somebody would do the things that they do on purpose.
Yep.
That it was intentional. Who would do that? Why? What do they get out of
Yeah.
it?
Yeah.
I was going to say, I reframe it as I can use it as something that I can teach someone, maybe. Maybe
Yeah.
they don't have to, maybe by going through whatever it is, somebody else won't have to by sharing it with them.
Yeah.
Trying to be a little bit more, I don't know what authentic is the right word, but sharing it with them so that maybe they don't make the same decision, or making it okay to make a decision.
But naivety, how are you going to know to spot this person like that? The love bombing, like Shannon Smith is saying here, it felt like real love. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. Yeah. You don't know
Yeah.
any better.
I mean,
Why?
you certainly, if you're on the receiving end of it, you certainly felt like it was real love. It was real love on your part.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean,
And they
and
responded
you,
in kind.
sure. And you certainly don't want to be the type to run around saying, why? Why are you doing that? Why are you doing that? That's,
Yeah.
that's a whole other thing in and of
That's the
itself.
person I've turned into. That's the scary part for
Oh,
me. Is that's the person I've turned into. And I realized that after I came back from Ontario. I don't know how many times I questioned. I don't know how many times like, well, why would you say something, like that? Well, it was a wonderful thing to say, but why was I questioning it? Because I don't trust.
I was hyper vigilant too when after I got out of the safe house, and especially while I was still there, I was hyper vigilant. Over time, I've improved quite a bit. So I just want to offer some hope that it might not be a permanent thing. It might get better over time.
Yeah.
I was going to say, I think being afraid and being hyper vigilant is normal. Anytime you've been through something, you don't want to recreate it. I thought about that actually, Carol, this weekend when we were talking last week about faith and kind of figuring stuff out. I'm like, it is hard for me when I think of religion or anything. If it feels too controlling, I immediately pull back.
Right.
Anything. It's not even just religion. If it feels like it's not safe to be myself or to question, I pull back automatically because it doesn't feel safe then.
Yeah.
And that's ultimately a fear from all of that stuff.
Right on. Yeah.
So here's something that a woman here is trying to work with me on. Actually, it's somebody else who's a resident here. And she said we shouldn't be fearful. We should just be aware. We should be aware of what's coming in the future. Fear keeps us stuck in place. Aware is us educating ourselves, and aware is us looking enough into the situation to understand what we've already been through.
Yeah.
So that's how I'm trying to look at things now, is I'm trying to be a little bit more aware. I know that I'm fearful. I wouldn't say naturally. That is not my natural state. But I think the situation is allowed to have fearful moments.
Yeah.
And I'm trying to not sit in the fear.
Yeah.
You know, because sitting in the fear, I think it's helping part of that stagnant feeling.
Yeah.
It's almost like I'm creating part of that stagnant feeling by being fearful.
Yeah. Yeah.
And if I can chime in on the heels of what Stasia just said, I heard you talk about awareness there, Stasia, and I think that awareness ties into regret in terms of reframing, like we were talking about earlier. I regret, I'll even give you embarrassing, dirty details right now and tell on myself here. My biggest regret in my life is that when I was 19, I had a phase where I was doing a lot of crack cocaine, the dirty white stuff. And I made the worst decision of my entire life, and I cheated on my boyfriend while I was high. And that was the worst thing I've ever done in my life. I've never cheated on anybody before. I hope to God that I never make a choice like that again. It was the worst thing I've ever done, and I regret that to this day.
Wow.
I think an awareness now that when I'm under the influence of illicit drugs like that, I make horrible decisions.
Yeah.
And I think it's the right one. I really believe it's the right thing to do, and it's just not. So I think the awareness, like Stasia was talking about, ties into the reframing where it's like, okay, I stuck my hand on the fire and it burnt my hand to a crisp. I'm not going to do that again. And so like I've heard from everybody in their own unique way, it's a learning opportunity. I can either go down that path again, or I can choose not to and to learn from it.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So, and we all have that healing process too, for us to really be able to reframe a situation. And that's something that I think that people need to remember to give themselves grace for. You need to heal before you can properly address the situation.
Yeah, that's true. You know, maybe that's why regret hangs around. It's something that you haven't healed from necessarily.
I think regret is something that we can kind of like forgiveness. It's like, it's not a one and done thing. It's something that comes up, and we have to continue to go through the process of letting it go or forgiving ourselves or whatever the case may be.
That's true.
Yeah.
A Rolling Stone was saying up here, I always tried to believe that everything happens for a reason. Life's a journey. What comes around goes around. Regret, missed opportunities, mistakes, all easier to accept if you believe in karma. And Shannon Smith says, it's scary that I no longer trust anymore. I was always too trusting, not good. Yeah. A Rolling Stone says. Yeah.
I can relate with that. Always being too trusting. And I had my first meeting with one of the social workers here, and it's the first time I've quickly realized that a lot of my red flags that I could have learned earlier in life, not my red flags specifically, but red flags within myself and others.
Yeah.
I literally was just not taught how to look for them.
That's right.
I was not taught what they were, how to look for them, what really was acceptable. Yeah. I just kind of based it off of the parental figure that I had.
Yeah.
And then realizing that my parental figure is very much like one of my exes, and no wonder why I got myself in that situation, because I literally didn't know better.
That's right. That's right.
So,
anything
as much as I want to regret the situation, I'm learning from it. It's a learning opportunity. He's probably one of the best teachers I could have found in my life, because I'm learning from that.
Yeah. That's a great point, because, if anything that you're regretting, if you had known better, you'd have done better.
Yep.
Yes.
So,
yep.
What do you do with that stupid nagging thing hanging around called regret? It's hard, though. I've had to live being fearful to keep myself safe. I'm here trying peer support because I'm trying to change and trust. Right on, Mayonnaise Entertainment.
Yeah. I feel like you're taking the first steps by opening up.
Yeah.
I really do. At least for me, it was the first steps, to open up and be honest in the peer area, like the peer support groups, to be able to say, I'm taking the steps towards trusting. I trust my friends. I can trust my friends. I still question a lot, but I can trust my friends. You open up any other avenue in my life, and I'm like, I'm not too sure if I trust anything. It's a slow process.
And then if you get burned by a friend, then what happens with friends? It's all that having to start to learn how to trust all over again. But, without trust, what do you have? You have paranoia, you have fear, and that's why it's so insidious when someone betrays a trust, because it's going to expose you to all of those things that go with hand in hand with regret, the guilt, afraid to trust again, and all of it.
Yeah.
But, I have found that it's better to go ahead and let yourself trust again. There's a lot more rewards. Yeah.
One of my friends, his name's Robin Dreek. He's really good at interviewing. He's kind of like a combination of somebody in this chat in that direction and somebody else who isn't here. But that's his big thing. Is he was a special agent. It was his job to get other agents to flip to the U.S. against their best interests. And the only thing he had to go with, that was his big thing, was just forming trust and being trustworthy, not betraying the trust that he had in people. And he is very big on that. And that really is, when you get down to it, that is a big thing that if we can show ourselves trustworthy to other people, that really does super well for all kinds of situations and whatnot.
Yeah. And life's just better when there's trust between two people. Shannon Smith
I
says,
also-
when you trust the wrong person, it makes me not trust myself. Yeah.
Yeah. And that's kind of where I wanted to go with my next comment was I struggle with trusting myself. And
Yeah.
the part that helps me a lot is remembering that education is key. What did I learn from that situation? What learning opportunity did I have? Am I going to make that same mistake again? Am I going to make that same mistake again? I keep trying to change that wording in my head, so please forgive me. I'm trying to change it to I don't intend for it to happen again.
Yeah.
Because I can't control others. I can only control myself.
Good point.
So I don't intend for this to happen again. And what I'm learning from it is going to help me with my intention.
That's right. I mean, all those red flags that you ignored because you were in love before, they're gonna stand out like, a big lit up billboard, flashing
Exactly.
light billboard.
Yeah. They're no longer red flags, they're hot air balloons.
Yeah. I'm old enough to know that you can't really ever know what someone is capable of, no matter how long you've known them or how close you are. I only trust people so far anymore. Oh, yeah. It's understandable.
Yeah.
I think another thing is that like regret and trust is, so let me back up. I think we learn from experience. I don't think that words can really do much unless we're very wise and can learn from other people's experiences. But oftentimes our own experience is what really sticks with us.
Yeah.
At least for me, my own experience is my best teacher.
Right.
I knew when I was 19 that the decision that I was making to be unfaithful to my boyfriend was not a good decision. But until I actually went through that and saw the repercussions, saw what it did to him, felt what that did to me when I was actually sober, like after the fog lifted, and especially after I stopped using that drug, the fog really lifted then. And it was just like, what have I done? And had I not gone through that experience, who knows, like perhaps I would have continued to use the drug, or I knew it was ruining my life, but the experience taught me that is my point. And so I think with regret and going back to what everybody has said and acknowledged, that it's a learning opportunity to not repeat that mistake. I think trust ties into that as well, where it's like experience is the best teacher. And so if I can learn from whatever it is that burned me the last time, then it was a valuable experience.
Yeah. Shannon Smith says, I know that what it's like to be cheated on and would never be with a married man or cheat on a partner. Yeah.
Me either. Never again.
Yeah. No, it's not a good thing for anybody.
It's the worst I've ever felt in my life.
Wow.
Like it was the worst thing I've ever done in my life.
Yeah. Yeah. Wow. At least you are cognizant of it, and you don't have to be a serial cheater. Some people never get there.
Yeah, that's true.
So that's a beautiful thing.
If I ever make the choice to engage in illicit substance use, who knows what choices I will make. But as long as I stay clean and sober, I'm confident I won't ever make that choice again.
That's right. Yeah. Did I read? Yeah.
I think that.
Go ahead.
I think that there's a lot of those moments, whether it be your example of cheating, Tara, or whether it be, an example for me is shutting up. I would use so that I would feel good, but immediately after I would shut up and I would be like, okay, I had my fun, and now I'm the okay person. I'm the good wife.
Oh, the
I
cool
got my
girl.
moment.
Okay.
Mm.
Yeah, that's what it would turn in. That's what it turned into, is that I'd have my fun moments, and then I would just completely and utterly introvert after that. I would be like my time to let it all out, and then I could have a couple of months or a couple of weeks just to kind of be like, I can keep it in, but you can only keep things in for so long.
So long. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And in in certain subcultures, like with polyamory, for example, the misconception is that you can't be cheated on, and that's very false.
Okay.
Very, very false. And multiple
Okay.
times I was cheated on in that form.
Okay.
Multiple times.
It's actually a bigger deal in polyamory to cheat, because usually you have flexibility. But
Yeah,
to do it,
that makes sense.
because if you do it, then and you break the trust that you've already got.
So it's like doing it behind someone's back is where the issue lies with polyamory.
See, for me, it wasn't ever behind my back. It was always in my face, but they were never honest about what was happening. And that was the issue. The communication was never there. The honesty behind it all was never there.
Yeah.
I see.
And that when it did actually happen, because I fought so hard for it, I didn't trust it.
Yeah. Wow. That makes a lot of sense, actually.
Yeah. Yeah. And like, that's why, my current situation with my friend, I very much trust that they're going to tell me if something happens with somebody else, just as they trust that I'll say something. But for me, it's this previous situation that's like, but are you telling me everything? And that's where I'm finding myself getting into trouble. It's just like, not even getting into trouble within myself.
Okay.
And it's just like, are you saying everything? Are you being forward and honest the way that I need you to be? Or are you just being like, we see each other a few times a year? But
Yeah.
I ultimately trust this person, but it doesn't mean that my past isn't affecting right now. And then this is where I feel horrible, is that moving forward, people have to fight harder for my trust than they ever have before in my life.
Yeah.
And that makes me feel horrible.
Oh,
Because I was never that person.
right.
And now I'm that person.
Yeah.
Well, I would like to.
Yeah, go ahead.
I was going to say, I'd like to just push back just a little. You are not horrible for not trusting. I think you're human. Because once you've been hurt, once these things have happened, and you questioning or maybe questioning yourself even more, maybe that's even part of it, is you're not necessarily trusting your own judgment to pick something or pick someone. I just push back a little bit, because you aren't horrible. It's not.
No, you're not.
It's not.
Thank you.
It's feels, and everybody has feels at some point or another.
Yeah. And
so,
you've been through the ringer. So I wouldn't expect you to just open up and just trust again. And all right. So I have a question from Rick Spicer here that I'm going to try to decipher here. All right. So the question is, because he seems to really, if I can get it to come up here. 1 of 3, excuse me, real question. This is info I need. I think I missed something for a couple of weeks. Soon as someone shows support for someone else's success, the subject love bombing is brought up and all support is stopped. Guilt is imposed on those giving. Are we not to show support? Plant success, Tara's success, Ben's success, Rebecca's success? Well, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Carol's channel helping many support wins.
I think that this ties
What
into
wins is not love bombing it. I really want you to succeed. Right on, Rick. Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, that is good.
Thank you, Rick.
Yeah.
Love bombing because Crystal's asking, love bombing in the my experiences with the cult kind of religious portion of it, it's when you are supportive and it's so wonderful to see you and it's great to be here. But if you leave the group or if you leave that situation, they turn on you. You are no longer the greatest person. You're no longer.
Or if you just do something that is not in keeping with whatever tradition they have, knowingly or unknowingly.
Right.
The love bombing goes right out the window.
It can also be a way to groom people to get them, like what Stasia said, it's like a way to get people hooked so that they can manipulate you after they hook you.
Yeah.
And something that I want to like make difference between support and love bombing, like support on peer support groups like this and love bombing, is that love bombing is manipulative.
Yes,
there is a purpose behind it. Yeah. And it's not a support purpose. It's a purpose that's against the person who's being love bombed.
Yeah, as Shannon Smith points out here, support is different than love bombing. And I like what you're saying here, Plant Freak. Love bombing is a form of psychological and emotional abuse that involves a person going above and beyond for you in an effort to manipulate you into a relationship with them. It looks different. It does look different for every person, but it usually involves, come on now, move a little thing, some form of excessive flattery and praise. Which, I mean, who doesn't like being flattered? Who doesn't like being praised?
Especially when you already have low self-esteem.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, they'll usually with love bombing, you can almost, a lot of times you can detect when it's love bombing and when it isn't. First off, a lot of times your gut will give you a creepy feel. Now, that's not always the case, but the reason why your gut gives you a creepy feeling is your subconscious is detecting a lot of times, okay, I'm picking up on behaviors that you're not consciously aware of. That's how a lot of body language works. You can't place your finger on it, but there's something about this person that makes you creepy. Now, you could also go, unfortunately, too far with it and suspect everybody of doing it. But again, it's off, or it is, for the purpose of manipulation. Person doing it will, a lot of times they'll want to know every single intimate detail about you. A lot of times they'll do reciprocal. Well, they'll come out and they'll dump all this stuff on you. And then the expectation is that you will then reciprocate that. They'll want constant validation. There will be a lot of, all of a sudden out of the blue, there will be a lot of declarations of affection or love made for seemingly no reason. And the thing is, real people were clumsy. If somebody says all the right things and they don't stumble, because we're people, we screw up, we say, well, I would have put it better like this. If something is too good to be true, it doesn't necessarily mean that it isn't, but you just might want to make a mental note of it and things like that. There's a ton of them.
In my experience as well, it flips to the point where you believe that you should be doing the same back.
Yeah.
You should be, because you're being asked, well, I'm saying this, I'm doing this, why is it that you're not giving the same? Well, because it's a little bit excessive, it's not natural. But you don't realize in a situation that that's the reality. So whether it be love bombing in this specific situation, but your normal behaviors can alter as well in time. Just from the excessiveness that you're getting and having to give back.
Yeah.
Because you're draining yourself.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. If there's a lot of over excessive gifts for, no reason, overwhelming compliments and attention. Um, if
I
there's
think
a lot of jealousy, every time you're out, if they're really jealous, incredibly clingy, um,
time, if they're spending an excessive amount of time with you, I've experienced that before, and I felt like I needed to reciprocate, and that I didn't know that excessive time spent together was also a form of love bombing. And
Right.
and in terms of Rick's question, Rick said, "Are we not to show support?" And that is not the case, Rick. In my experience, there is a difference between love bombing and legitimate interest in getting to know somebody.
Yeah.
And I love what Ben said about using your gut to lead the way. I think the gut knows exactly what's happening. And my mistake in the past is that my gut has talked to me and I chose to ignore it. And then it gets quieter and quieter and it stops talking to you.
Yes.
So listen to the gut from the beginning.
Kind of an example would be Tara sharing her 1,015, 16 days, something like that. No, 1,116, I think is what it was. 1,200, no, 1,100, I think. But then to say, congratulations, Tara. Okay. That's great, Tara. Okay. That's stupendous, Tara. Those are all good answers. Oh, Tara, I love you. Oh, this is so awesome. Oh, I got to know how you did it, Tara. Tell me how you did it. Tara, what a great person you are. Hey, let's discuss this further, Tara. Oh, Tara, this is great, Tara. Oh, Tara, let's get together, Tara. You know what, Tara? This is,
Okay, whatever's happening now, this is hell. I don't like it. Can it stop?
Ben is love bombing me right now.
That's not love bombing. Because you don't know it's love bombing until later.
Yeah.
It's not so obvious.
Right.
He's
like doing
making an
extreme
example.
version.
Yeah, he's making an example of it so that people know what to look out for.
Yeah, well, see, I do understand that Rick's getting, because like good men who don't love bomb don't understand that them being helpful is not love bombing. Them being supportive is not love bombing. It's being supportive. It's being helpful.
Yeah.
Love bombing is giving support to get what you want. There's only one reason to do it. So the only reason you're giving that support is because you're getting back from that person something out of it that you want. Either they're a source for you, if they're a narcissist, or you're getting whatever, like, a relationship or whatever it is, they can control you through it, through love bombing. Because I was so severely love bombing, I got a car. So, and I didn't know, and I didn't realize that it was love bombing. I thought it was just someone being incredibly controlling and pushing. I thought it was very nice that they did it. I couldn't believe that they did it, but it was like, it's so out of the bounds of anything normal that you don't understand or believe that it's happening. It's like a fairy tale, it just feels like all your dreams are coming through. Yeah. And I guess that's the biggest thing you can say from it. If it seems too good to be true, it generally is.
It's true.
Yeah.
Generally speaking, it is. Yeah. Yeah.
And it's funny when you say that, Cosmic, I hadn't really put together that in my own story until you had said that, and holy crap. It's like, my gut was telling me something in and around that time, and like Tara said, you stop listening to your gut and it gets quieter. But then it also at that time started to feel like a fairy tale.
Yeah. I mean, it feels like it did. It was so magical. It was like it's going out on all these dates and, having dinner paid for me. I mean, I'm normally the one going out paying for everybody's everything, so it was so magical that when things went so bad, I was like, oh, but the magic was still there, even though it's bad now. Like, there's a little bit bad, but it's mostly magical. And then when it stops being mostly magical, that you're probably love bombed.
I Crystal, don't we all do this? I mean, we all you know, for the most part, you know, people who are not narcissists are giving what they would want to be getting, doing unto others as you would have done unto you, kind of thing. You know, because it's the right thing, and you want to make people feel valued. You know, because I don't know of any other resource that we have that is like each other. You know.
Yeah, and I actually think the term love bombings are used a little bit too much now, just like a lot of things. You know, someone doing nice things for you, bringing flowers home, or just general niceness. I don't think that's love bombing. You know, it's just someone being nice. And I think it's for those who've been through trauma, it's hard for us to realize now when someone's being genuinely nice, when someone's being love bombed.
True.
And I think
that's kind of why I was wanting to, you know, maybe bring up the subject of regret, because, you know, usually the regret is over something that we did or didn't do, you know, and that's where it came in to, you know, this subject was that, you know, ultimately, you know, we end up regretting not seeing. But how could you have had a reference for it before?
Yeah.
If you're a good person and you have only good intentions toward other people, how would you even comprehend that somebody wouldn't have that?
Yeah, you're just being you.
It's kind of funny because growing up as I did, you'd think that all I would ever expect is people to be a little bit off. But it wasn't until the last person that I was like, you know, maybe all my thinking everyone's always good is, well, majority of people is good is wrong. I still don't think that's true. I still think majority of people is good, are good, even though I can't words. But but you sort of think it doesn't matter what you go through or whatever. Well, it does. It matters to you. As long as you're still a decent person at the end of it, you're always going to win. There's no losing if you're the decent person at the end.
That's true.
So, and life for me is a game. I'm a big gamer, whatever, and it's all about competition and winning for me. And I want to win this. And the only way I can win this is living a good and happy life, regardless of whatever it is I've gone through, because otherwise all those bosses ended up beating me anyway. I didn't actually make it through to the next level. I've just stuck around in that same level. There just must be secret little compartments. I haven't moved forward, you know? Right. And life should be about evolution and moving forward. And I guess that's one of the reasons you're talking about regrets. I don't think I have any. I have none. And that's mainly because I can't change anything. The only regret I have is the one thing I have is actually getting married because it's so hard to get out of the marriage if the other person wants to make it difficult. That's the only thing I regret is getting married. But I don't regret because I already had my kids. So I can't even, that's not me saying I regret my kids. It's just me saying I regret the legalities of being married. So nothing else I regret. And because I can't change anything, I can't sit here going, I wish I could change it. Like, you know, there are things that I'm sorry for. Like I'm sorry for my children having gone through some things. I'm sorry for my family having to put up with me at sometimes. But, you know, I can't live with regret because otherwise I'll just suffer with it. And I already suffer enough.
I want to address this with Crystal. Were you getting ready to do that, Ben?
Yeah, I was getting ready to do it as well.
The big difference in love bombing and gift giving is the intent behind it.
Yeah, and a lot of times if somebody's love bombing with gift giving, it's not a gift. It is a gift today.
It's got a string attached.
Week, it's a gift, 2 weeks from now, and they're really lavish, and they will usually start to emulate what it is the person wants from you. Now, with females, this is most likely going to be romantic type gifts, but it's excessive gifts. It's not gift giving. It's excessive.
Even if it's not excessive, it's always about getting something. It's never about just giving from the heart because that's what's in your heart to do. Yeah. That's the difference.
A lot of it's, they can hold it, they can turn around and say, this is what I
Hold
did
it
for
over
you.
there.
So therefore
Yeah.
you have to do something for me. And that's all,
That's exactly.
how could you leave me? This is all the stuff I've ever done for you,
Right.
And
You'll never
also-
find anyone to do that. And, if it's coming genuinely, that will never happen.
That's right.
They can also then withdraw it as a punishment if you do something that they don't
Yes.
like.
Yes.
Yes.
So it'll be like showers of gifts, or I have an ex-fiance, as a matter of fact, who used to shower me with notes, like love letters, a bunch of love letters, and then all of a sudden it stopped. And that was really hurtful to me, and it definitely was a way to manipulate me into doing what he wanted.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And that's exactly what love. That is a perfect example of love bombing.
Yes.
Is it won't be one thing. It will be a combination. It won't be necessarily all the things I outlined, and there's a lot of things that those are just some examples. There's a few other ways, but there'll be a combination of things, and it'll be a pattern. You'll start to see it, and it's with the underlying motivation for doing it for manipulation. Just simply giving gifts, simply giving compliments. No, nothing wrong with that at all.
That's right.
It's when it's always excessive and it's just constant. And if the person gets, like, if I got jealous if I was doing this to Tara, I'll use her again. And if it made me mad that she ever talked to somebody, or if I let her know, when you talk to anybody else, there's a good warning sign for you that this is where this is going.
Crystal, I definitely wouldn't think that of you.
No.
Yeah, I've never you've never given me any reason that would make me, yeah. So yeah, that's the difference. And your heart, and when you're giving from your own heart. So yeah, I
There
think
is
that's
also
a
a different
beautiful
version
thing.
of giving, which is something that if you've been through excessive amounts of rejection and all that sort of stuff, you'll tend to do whatever you can for people, because the only way you can get them to stay in your life is for doing things for them. So it's not actually, because that's sort of what I do. I find it really difficult to say no. And it's not, and I'll give anyone anything off my back. And it's not because I'm trying to get something from them. It's more because I know what it's like to be without.
Yes.
And it's also, and a lot of times I don't feel like I deserve anything that I've got. So I'll just give it away, but that's, so I think there's different versions of excessive types of giving.
That's true.
And so, and I think I fall on the excessive because of, fear of rejection type giving.
Mm-hmm.
Because I don't like getting gifts. It's not my love language.
Not every narcissist is going to be excessive in the gift giving. They'll throw a little bait out just to keep you hooked, just enough, and then when they see that you're starting to kind of look another direction, oh, here's another little gift. Got to keep that hook in you.
And again, you have a really perceptive inner voice, and all of us are born with it. How much we have ignored it, who knows? But you have most people have a pretty good little voice that talks to them and says, something not right about this. So that doesn't necessarily mean, you can be, and I can do the same. I can be paranoid. But it's just something to take note of. Like, okay, am I seeing this pattern? And it could be the person's just,
Well, sometimes you could also be like, I just lost what I was going to say. I just saw Misha come in. Sorry, hi, Misha.
I was just going to say that love bombing always seems more controlling. Because one of my love languages is words of affirmation. And yet another is quality time, but words of affirmation. And there's a certain portion of me that never got any of those words, which I don't know if that's why it's my love language too. But so there are people like me that it's just, I don't know. I don't say anything I don't mean. Whereas somebody else may just, maybe that's not easy for them, but it's kind of the control or what's that back end portion of it, at least in my experience.
Yeah.
People are clumsy when we're expressing genuine affirmation feelings or genuine love towards another person.
I remembered.
It will rarely be perfect. There will always be some way we stumble or something. If it's perfect, yeah, but it could be the person's just following a movie script too. A lot of guys will tend to do that. They'll watch Richard Gere or somebody. Okay, he said this, he said that. Wait a minute, you didn't get my name. Even then, they'll come out wrong. My name isn't Sam. It's because they'll forget the name or something. But yeah,
I remember what I was going to say. People who are generally worried about negative type behaviors, if they have them, either recognize that they've got them and would like to do something to change them, or aren't the thing that they're thinking that they might be. Like people who worry about being a narcissist generally aren't narcissists because they're worried about it.
That's right.
People
and
who
a
are worried
narcissist
about,
will never question. Never ever.
Exactly. The narcissist isn't sitting there going, am I a narcissist? And how's my narcissism affecting people around me? And I think it's the same with those who are love bombing. If those who are love bombing don't see it as an issue, they're not seeing it as like, they're not going to sit there and hear about love bombing and think it's something that they might do because they're like, nah, I'm just a, top, whatever they would like to be, and that's, they wouldn't see the correlation. So I think that a lot of times people who are worried about it, and a lot of us who've been through trauma or ND, all that sort of stuff, mental health, we're very self-aware. And so we probably look more into a whole bunch of stuff more so than those who are just going through life without having too many issues at all because we don't want to live like this.
And we don't want anybody else to live that way either.
Yeah, we don't want to put other people through it. Yeah,
That's right.
Exactly. So
That's right.
I think Crystal, you don't have anything to worry about. You're lovely.
Yeah.
Agreed.
Yeah.
Agreed.
Yeah. 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 If it's a subtle thing when someone is giving because they're in it to get something from you, even though you would be willing to give it anyway. But there's a feeling attached, like, oh, I really have to step up for this person now, kind of thing. And I sincere giving of oneself or of gifts or of it's just there's a feeling of equality in it more, I think, if that helps.
Yeah, and I felt manipulated to be more affectionate than I felt like being in the moment. And the situation was actually arising. There was too many things. And I was just like, well, I need to settle from this. But look, I'm doing this for you right now. And I'm going to buy you something. And I'm going to do this. Now you need to reciprocate everything and tenfold. Excuse me. You need to reciprocate everything and tenfold. And it wasn't until leaving that I actually recognized it for what it was. I thought I was the one love bombing. I honestly believed that was the reality.
Because you were being
I thought I was doing it.
Because you were being gaslit. Yeah. Yeah.
It's funny how that happens, isn't it? We think that we've got problematic behavior. I think a lot of it's, how there's projection when you say that there are people who go around saying their problem behaviors are other people's problem behaviors. But I think there's like reflection type too. It's like when, those people are doing it, we see it and we think, is it me? Am I the one doing this? Because we're so used to being blamed for everything that they can't be doing it because they're being so nice and they've been so nice up until this point. So it must be me, So that's how I sort of see it, is that I always feel like it's my fault in the beginning, that I must be doing something wrong. But it generally isn't. You know, not that I'm like an angel or anything like that, but generally I do my best. And and that's all anyone can ask. And if you're not and if your best is expecting more than someone is willing to give in the moment, then I don't think that's a very good best.
No.
Right.
No. Because of my misunderstanding of the fact that I was love bombing, I'm now afraid to show certain forms of affection. I'm afraid to say certain things that show affection. And I have to force myself, if I want to get it out of me and I want to say it, it takes a lot of work before I'm able to I'm not even able to do it over a phone call. I can do it in a voice clip. That's the closest that person's going to get.
Crystal, I don't think that, seeking attention is a bad thing.
No.
I don't think it is.
No, nobody wants to be disliked.
Yeah.
I think, again, we're looking at the manipulative and the psychological abuse aspects of it. I think that there's always a positive to, attention or love bombing. But what is the intention behind it? Why are they doing it?
Yeah.
That's different.
I was going to say, doesn't it often come with something else too? So there is a certain amount of, maybe it's gaslighting, or if you say something, they'll be like, no, that's not, your impression's wrong, or
or they make you think like you're the one that's doing what
My favorite one was them saying something, and I taking it as it was said and in the context in which it was said, and then me getting upset about it, and then them turning around and changing the context and the meaning of their words. When, how can you do that? That's not what you said. Well, it's exactly what you said, but you can't change the meaning just because it upset me and you don't like my reaction, And I think, I don't know if that's because I'm neurotypical and I don't say things I don't mean and I don't expect others to, or it's just the way you should go around. You should expect people to mean what they say and mean it in the way that they say it. None of this talking between lines or double entendres, unless it's funny, but that's in context too, double entendres. You're not sitting there being, having second meanings about things that you actually want or need in life. You need to be clear. And I think that's a big issue with a lot of things, is if they're not clear enough, or they pretend that you haven't understood their words when you absolutely have, that makes you feel crazy, and it makes you start to question everything that you hear from everybody. Because if you're like this one particular person who is supposed to be, just say it's a partner or could be a parent, whatever, who's gaslighting me and is supposed to love me more than anyone else, if they're saying that I'm wrong constantly, then I must be.
Yeah.
And it's like it kind of like embeds into everything that you do, and it's just and everything that you hear, and it's just it's a negative self-talk that starts off with somebody else being negative first. So
I have a question. I'd like to know what it's called. I'll describe a situation. I don't know if it's gaslighting. I'm still trying to work through what to call this. I'm hoping maybe somebody has an answer. When you are telling somebody what your issue is, and then months later, years later, they turn around and they repeat your issue to you. What is that?
That's gaslighting.
That's gaslighting?
Yeah.
Are they repeating it back to use against you?
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, no, that's gaslighting.
I've just always called it using things against me. Like I didn't know that was gaslighting. I just used the same words that you use. Like they twisted it to turn it back on me.
Yeah, they know. And in this situation, they literally said everything that I was feeling and explained months or years before was now their issue, and it was left unresolved.
Oh boy.
That's also,
I don't know what that is.
That's also a manipulation tactic that people with narcissistic personality disorder or just narcissistic tendencies will use. They will love bomb you in the beginning, like we've been talking about. They will fish for information. They'll learn everything they can about you, and then will later on use that information
it
against you to manipulate.
Right.
And it's almost like because they know that you've been through it and got through it and wouldn't want anyone else to go through it. If they say they've got it, you will then have to stick around to help them through it because they helped you through it, sort of thing. That's the payback type behavior. It feels like.
And now be an indication that their feelings for you aren't genuine. If we're trying to insult somebody, we will tend to use insults that we think would hurt us the most because we instinctively think other people are like us. So, if they use your terminology back at you, that means they're taking notes. I mean, if Stasha was to come to me and here's the issues I'm having, yeah, I'm kind of taking notes, but you're not doing it in a way to, oh, now I got a little gem. I got a little weapon here to use. And then boom, do that. No, that's normal people. No, I shouldn't say that. Genuine people don't do that. And, we will, if I wanted to insult somebody, I would instinctually use an insult that would be harmful to me. And that's just the way we tend to operate. I mean, we can operate outside of that, but that's usually the way it works with humans.
Yeah. Then I had an incident this weekend, nothing bad, but I came face to face with some fears. And please excuse me for being cryptic. It's just doing my best to describe it without details. And it kind of sent me for a bit of a tailspin last night.
Okay.
A full-on tailspin.
Oh.
So it's like today I've been questioning everything all over again.
Oh.
It sent me into the are you intelligent enough to recognize this again? Are you intelligent enough to see if you're going to get slapped in the face like this again? And I absolutely enjoyed my time last week. And then because of that incident, it's like, am I looking at that situation properly?
Right.
So everything, I feel like I'm just questioning.
Have you asked the person? Have you asked the person what's going on there?
I'm like the person that I went to go see last week, my friend. I'm very aware of how they feel, and I'm very aware of where the situation is. But I'm questioning it's the trust within myself to recognize again. It's the trust within myself to, maybe it's a polar opposite, and I'm not recognizing non-interest. But when I question that and I bring it up, it's no, like, trust your gut. What is your gut telling you? Well, your gut's telling me my gut's telling me that there is interest. And he goes, trust your gut, chick. Like, that's his response. Like, this is the reality. Trust your gut. I'm like, okay, I understand what you're saying, but it's the trauma that makes me go back and question everything.
Yeah.
So is he telling you to trust your gut? Because I'm like, I trust words. Sure, guts are fine, but I need someone to tell me constantly. I need reassurance or something. I need something. I can't just trust my gut because otherwise, I don't know. I've got it wrong so many times.
He's severely neurodivergent ADHD. So words for him are hard. I mean, hard.
That's understandable.
So it's physical where he's able to show that. And when we are in each other's presence, I feel it. But then my trauma creeps up in between. And this time, because I had an incident yesterday that kind of threw me for a tailspin, it's like that trauma came back so quickly this time. It wasn't months after, it was right away after. So
Rolling Stone says don't do background check first.
Well, don't worry. I know that they're good because they wouldn't have the job that they have if they weren't.
I guess a lot of it's just communication. And if you feel safe enough to communicate, that's a good sign. You know, it's when you don't feel safe enough to communicate. And I know if you've got difficulty with words, I struggle to talk about, I don't talk about relationships or feelings. It's not my thing, but I can text it, you know, if I need to. I can have serious text conversations because I struggle with face-to-face seriousness unless I'm mad about something. But it's just, I just feel like you're probably coming from a trauma-informed response for yourself about what's happened for you. So, and that might happen. And you know what? It's probably a good safety feature for now because it's pretty recent. It's, you know, for both of us, it's fairly recent. And we, you know, it doesn't mean that we should miss out on something that could be really good, but maybe it's giving us a bit of a chance to heal ourselves and take time for ourselves and just slow down on something that I know I used to always rush into. For myself personally, it was always a rush because, I don't know, I do everything fast. I want everything done now, and I felt like that's what I did as well. And then I did slow it down, didn't work out well either. But that's not to say it won't the next time. You know? Yeah, I only fail when I stop trying. So,
and I was going to say, I think it's normal to kind of look for red flags because you don't want to redo something. So journaling, I think journaling about it is great because then you can write it down and go, this is what you're feeling. And you can write down details either way. Some of it is, you know, some of it, it's just time. You have to learn to trust yourself again and to trust your judgment. I mean, speaking on the subject of things you can talk about, I don't even think I've told you this, Tasha. My partner has never told me he loves me. I've been dating him 4.5 years, almost 5. And it's because we've talked about it. And in the very beginning, this was really, really hard for me. But now, because in the beginning we talked about it, and these are, and like literally we had like Google document that we shared, and I would write down, you know, these are signs of affection. This is the things that, you know, so he would do things that would say it, but didn't say it, if that makes sense. And so, so I now don't trust necessarily the words as much because of how many times I was told words and it didn't have the stuff to back it. Now I have all the actions to back it. And he's in therapy doing, you know, his own thing with that because society says you marry one person and that's the person you love forever. And society has not really, especially my Gen X, didn't leave opening for anything else. And so he struggles with that. So he's never used the words, I love you, those words. But I've told it a lot of different ways. Every time I see him, if there's something I need to address, I can bring that up. There's a lot of different things so I think it's normal when something comes up, if it's different than what you're used to or based on your experience. I think it's just normal to have those questions in the very beginning.
Absolutely.
I had a lot of issues with that.
Yeah.
There'd be a lot of feeling of deja vu too, like this feels like it's happened before, and what happened last time this happened. And if it was a negative outcome, of course the feeling that when it's happened again is not going to feel as good as if it was a new feeling that didn't have a negative outcome attached to it. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not sure if I'm making sense of that, but it's just like positive experiences mean that you want to have more of them. So, and negative experiences mean you want to avoid it. So, and even if something's positive, but it went to a negative, that positive feeling is going to have negative on it. So, and it's hard to get through that. And that comes through counseling and communication with whoever you're around. It could be anyone. Everyone needs communication. You know. And my thing is words. Words are important to me. Like I need to be able to talk to me constantly. And lots of that's got to do with the fact that I was silenced for so long. So now I'm just like, I'm going to talk. This is one of the reasons why I talk so much. But that's one of the things, like, you know, everyone's talking about love languages. And I'm just thinking, because I've done those tests and I felt like none of them actually really matched because I don't like gifts. I love giving gifts. I don't like receipt. Like my love language, I could do all of them. You know, I love doing things and giving people things and saying nice things and all the stuff. I like doing that for other people, but I don't like it so much for myself. And I think that's because it was attached. All of it's been attached to something negative.
Yeah.
In some way. So, and I need to, and that a lot. That's when EDMR and other things come in, when you have to change through counseling means things that you can't change through life means. You know, sometimes we need a bit of assistance, whether it be through medication or therapy and all that sort of stuff. So I'm all for anything.
Right.
So, you know, if you can get it, get it. So, and I feel like I've missed out on a lot of good experiences because I'm just like, no, I don't trust that person. You know, they're being too nice. I don't trust nice people. I need it to be a little bit snarky, a little bit mean. And even, you know, but then it's like, there's levels, you know, and yeah, but it's not something that should be natural. Like, it's something that I grew up with in my family, the snarkiness, the sarcasm, the hidden meanings behind everything, you know, the passive aggression. It was constant.
Yeah.
And so that's something that all of us have taken into our relationships as adults. And my little sister, she actually said that her new partner, because her and her husband had, you know, the snarkiness and they're mean, constantly mean. I mean, she hit him with a car accidentally, but it's funny. It was an accident. The brakes slipped. He was behind the car. Yeah, but it's funny to say. It's really funny to say. So, but yeah, and she went to a new partner, and she'd just be joking and sarcastic, not thinking that it meant anything. But to the new person, who was incredibly neurodivergent as well, he was like, "Why are you being so mean? You know, it's unnecessary. You know, this is not how you talk to someone that you love." And she took a step back and was like, you know, that's absolutely right. This is not how you talk to someone that you actually love and don't want to hurt, you know. So she's changed the way she talks to him, and also her son, because she doesn't want to take her son into it, because, you know, I'm the same with my kids. You know, I joke around with them, all that sort of stuff, but sometimes my kids don't know when to stop, and it starts to hurt me. And I'm just thinking, what did I create? I created a monster. And but I did it, so I can't do it back. And then sometimes I think back, well, what am I saying that's hurting them without me knowing it? Because I think I'm doing it in good humor, but I don't know what's inside their head in the moment. So now I'm being a lot more careful about what I say. I'll only ever say things based on fact, and generally I'll try and be nice about it. But I'll be nice about it until I can't be nice anymore. But I never say anything that's not true. And I think that's a big thing. There's a lot of people who will try and tear you down by saying things that aren't true, and you know they're not true, but they say it often enough that it starts to feel true.
Yep. You believe it. Yeah.
Well, and I think the people you care about are going, when you talk to them about it, they're not going to be mad that your response in a specific way. If you're honest and you talk about it, they're gonna like, oh, you know, I'm sorry that. And I think it's time. Unfortunately, we want it tomorrow or yesterday, but I think it's just time.
Yeah. I can't remember. No, I remember it was EDB. She was talking about the relationship with her husband versus the relationship of a previous boyfriend, and how exactly what Cosmic was just saying, the jabbing at somebody, but in a playful manner, how that it's destructive. And I remember hearing that, and I was just like, well, it feels destructive, but I'm being told it's not destructive, and trying to reconcile that within myself was strange. Because being in the situation, you're hearing it's wrong, you know it feels wrong, but it keeps happening.
Is this the new relationship or the old one?
Old one, sorry, not the new one.
Okay.
I can't remember who had said it, but it was Rolling Stone. If they, you know, pick up after themselves, cook meals, open the door for you, like, this is this person. This is this person. I'm not used to sitting in a car with a man and being told to drive. I'm not even used to that.
Right?
Like,
Isn't that strange?
yeah. And so, all of these things, it's showing me that they're a good person. The situation is showing me that they're a good person. It's the trauma. And I think the distance, I call it a buffer zone. The fact that they're in one province and I'm in another province.
Yeah.
I'm calling it my buffer zone so that I have time to heal.
Yeah.
I have time to figure my stuff out before anything, if it goes anywhere long term, and I'm not even putting my eggs in that basket. Just going to enjoy it for what it is now. Because who doesn't want a little affection and a little kindness and a little one-on-one time, right?
Right.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It's the only thing I miss from being in a relationship is the affection and going places and doing stuff as with somebody else instead of doing it all by myself, which I'm happy to do too. But sometimes it's nice to go somewhere and be like, that beach, isn't it a nice beach? Let's hang out on the beach and look at this shell. Isn't this a nice shell? Instead of me going, yeah, cool shell. I'm going to take the same show, everybody.
Yeah.
But it's
I get that.
It's companionship is nice, but
It is
I'm
nice.
at the stage where I don't trust companionship to come without some sort of strings attached, and that's just a me thing for now. That's just me for now. It's not me forever.
Okay.
But and the buffer zone that you're talking about, Stasia, was exactly something that I think is helpful, and I've used it so many times in my life between me and other people, and it does, and it makes it easy, because if you're really, really close all the time, it means that you'll fall into it because it's easy rather than you fall into it because it's easy rather than it being something that's good, always good. So, and taking time to get to know someone over a long period of time, I think is a good thing, before you put all your trust eggs, whatever I like to say, into that basket. You don't, my natural thing is to trust everyone until they give me reason not to trust them, until this last time. And now it's flipped, and I don't trust anyone until they give me reason to trust them. And you can't ever know that until straight away. And I think it was probably the best lesson I ever learned. And I'm grateful for that. And that's why I can't regret it.
Okay.
Because
I was going to say,
I think trust is something that should be earned.
And I feel the opposite, because I am single still, never been married, because I was afraid to trust, because being with someone and being married meant giving up who I was, giving up what mattered to me, doing all those things. And one of the greatest gifts my current partner has given me is that I don't have to do that. Okay. That you can have a healthy relationship with someone. There are good men out there. You can have a healthy relationship, talk about all the things, and they're going to support you in whatever it is you need. So you can change your mind. And I think it's kind of sad that this is the first.
But at least it's happened.
Yeah. I could get married today. There's that portion that fear is not there the way it used to be.
That's great.
But it does feel like it took over 45 years.
Well, it's never too late. Christy, we're talking about regret. How do you reframe a regret? It's a nagging little thing that, has so much attached to it. And, how do you reframe it? How do you make it something that doesn't plague you, kind of thing?
I think for me personally, hold on, I gotta get adjusted here. I find the good thing in it. I find the lesson in it. I find the good thing. I find how I grew from it. So say that you were in an abusive relationship, right? And let's say that it was really bad and icky, and you left. The way that you would reframe that is you were strong enough to leave, and you and you learned. And I think it just depends on what the regret is. I try to live life without any of those. I try to look at things and see. I think for me personally, everything is a lesson. There's a lesson in everything I do. And sometimes you have to really dig to find that lesson. But the lessons for me is how I reframe it. So it just kind of depends on what it is. Like I said, and I think therapy helps with that too, a little bit. Things like this, peer support, just kind of seeing a different thing. But like I said, yeah, find what made you a better person and focus on that, because that's your reframing for me.
Right on.
Like that,
Right on.
that's what I think it is. Yeah. So, because otherwise you get focused on all the negative, and then that's like what you bring in. That's bringing in that energy, right? So you're kind of focusing on the negative, and then you start seeing all the negative, and then all of a sudden your life is like spiraling and it's all negative. If you focus on the positive, then that helps to bring positivity to the situation, around the situation, and you kind of bring that in. So I think it's that too.
Right on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think there is something to positive, mindset and manifestation, like if you, I know that I don't think I've ever really truly suffered the depression that comes out of nowhere. I think every time, I can't say I haven't suffered depression, but my depression has been situational type thing. And I think anyone would be depressed having gone through it. And I think had I had depression, I don't know if I would have come through it, to be honest. But I was so used to being down and thinking down every day that it was just a natural mindset. Like, oh, well, today's going to be crap because yesterday was crap. Day before that was pretty crap too. It's all crap. And then I had to start changing how I felt about the day. So I was going to be like, okay, well, today I'm going to do at least one thing that I enjoy. And I generally start off with that. And then I just, and I tried to change my outlook on stuff. So I faked it. I faked being happy until I made it, until I actually was happy. So, and I wouldn't say that, it was all sunshine and rainbows. It was more of it's a natural feeling to get up and feel like I want to dance and annoy my children before school today, rather than, be all sad and be like, come on, kids, time to go to school, and be all grumpy about everything, and it changed everybody's outset when I did it. But I can't, that's not to say if someone's got true depression that they're going to fake it till they make it. I don't think that's
right.
That's not a healthy thing to put out into the community, that fake it till you make it, because you'll definitely do it. It's just that's what worked for me. So I changed my thinking. But you have to be willing to change your thinking for that to happen. And I think I think the majority of us here are willing to change our thinking, because that's why we're here.
Sure. Sure.
Yeah. And I think being open to other ideas and things that are, sorry, I'm trying to get these situated, other ideas, because that's also how we learn and grow. And so maybe there's something out there like intent. I'm a huge person on intent, and, in certain magical working. Yeah, in certain magical workings, it's all about your intent. It's all about the intent of what you're doing and making sure that your intent is right. If you're coming at it with a negative intent or a harmful intent or an angry intent, it's like a pendulum. It's going to swing out, and it's going to do what you want it to do, but it's going to come back way faster and probably smack you in the head. So, that's, I found that has helped too for me, with just sitting down and going, what is my real intention here? I think we've all said it, like, oh, I wish that person would just fall off the face of the planet. Well, do you really? Because what's going to happen, let's say it's your ex's ex-wife. Well, then now you've got the kids. So is that really what you want? Maybe not. So maybe let's not have them fall off the face of the planet. But I do think that that's important. And I think it helps going back to reframing, I think it helps to reframe, like what really is the intent that you want to get from this? So, how do you see that? And I can't see any comments, so if you're laughing at me, that's great. But if you're laughing at something someone said, I can't see it.
I just saw Electric Boogaloo, and it was funny in my head to say quietly. And I really would. What Misha said is absolutely true. The walls we put up sometimes can actually damage those around us because
That's true.
Exactly the clues we see in someone to protect ourselves. They're not always there. They're just stuff that we're projecting because that's what we've been through before. I think that's sort of what the gist of what I said earlier. But, and also the whole positive intention thing, I think that works with a lot of things. And I think there's a whole range of different things you can do. Like, I think journaling's one, there's a gratitude type journal and it helps you recognize that even if you've not had a particularly good day, there must have been at least something throughout the day that was good. And even if it didn't happen to you, that's when you look for a good news story. I mean, at least that thing happened to somebody else and that was good, Yeah. And that's something that I find that, because sometimes I can't see anything good for me, but I can see it for other people in an instant. So I'll go watch, there's some channels that are just all good news. So I'll go watch that for a bit because I want to go see someone win the lotto and I want to go see that cow being saved and all that sort of stuff because that makes me feel good. And and knowing that someone else feels good because that happened is enough for me for that particular day.
Right on.
Well,
So
and another positive. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
No, you go.
I was going to say another positive thing about a gratitude journal is when you are having a bad day, you can go back and look at it, and you can be like, "Wow, on this day, I did this. I made somebody smile," or I had an extra $5 or whatever, so I bought somebody a coffee and I made their day, and so then in those moments when you're really feeling less than for yourself, because we all have them, you can look back and you don't have to go through the junky part of your journal that's all doom and gloom and working through stuff. You can just read it. That's why I think those are great ideas.
I think as we learn and grow and change as a function of our recovery, the way that we interact with regret is different. Like, it has less of a pull on us. It has the intensity of the regret is less. And I think this goes hand in hand with, Plant Freak, how do you say your first name? Have I been saying it wrong?
Stasia.
Okay. So I think along with what Stasia has been talking about, where she's like questioning her gut, I went through the same thing and I decided not to have a relationship. I'm not telling you not to, right? That's not what my intent here is. My intent here is like, I chose not to because I knew that I would change as a function of my recovery and as a function of working with a therapist, and that I would attract and be attracted to a different type of person a few years down the road. So it has actually worked out really well, albeit sometimes lonely. It gave me an opportunity to go into myself and also make connections with other people that weren't romantic connections so that I could build the system. And again, I'm not saying this to say like, I'm not saying don't do anything. I'm not telling you what to do, but I think as, how can I say this? I've noticed that as I've grown, I am now attracted to a different type of person, and I'm not drawing the same types of people, like the people with narcissistic tendencies, the people who are going to take advantage of me. Those days are over. And I'm happy that I feel that way now. I'm not going to put up with the same kind of crap that I've put up with before. And that took time.
It does.
It did. And, and I think forgiveness of yourself around a situation helps with regrets
Yeah.
too. Like, you don't have to, I'm not talking about the
Absolutely.
other person. I'm talking about you.
Yeah.
You have to forgive yourself for what you did or what you allowed to have happen, or however that looks in your mind,
Right.
but I think that's part of it too. I mean, it's a very long journey. Like, nobody gets through it quickly. And
That's
if
true.
somebody does, you're probably not really doing the work the right way. Like, if it's not a little messy and a little sloppy and a little painful and a little awful, and it happens fast, you're probably maybe not doing it quite right. But then you'll get the hang of it, and you'll start seeing it, and it will become like working that other muscle, like any other muscle. And you'll be like, okay, well, this is it. And I think it's, and especially forgiveness of yourself, it's like you're not carrying around all that baggage. Like, how can you climb the Eiffel Tower or soar to the stars if you're carrying 10 tons of dead weight? Like, it's not going to happen, so you got to really.
And what Misha says, regrets versus accountability for actions, and learning the difference between those is it's really important. I think like there's a difference between saying I regret everything that happened and all that sort of stuff, being to what looking back and saying, what did I do that played into this, without being like it was my fault. Because it's never your fault for being abused, because there's no excuse for abuse. But
exactly.
I still feel myself personally, because everybody's different, and I don't think there's a right way or wrong way for anyone to heal, and except for whatever's right for them. But for myself, I feel like I have to take time and accountability, and just sort of think I did contribute in some ways to some of these circumstances that happened, and if I don't take accountability for that, then I'm just going to turn around and probably do it again, because I won't be looking at what led me into that situation in the first place if I didn't look back and think why, what happened to this. And I think a lot of, like what Tara is saying, and I think I need time to do that, rather than me just fall into something else straight away, because that generally is what happened. I would fall into something else straight away because I didn't want to think about it, and I didn't want to do the difficult stuff, the difficult work to heal. And my personal thing now is I don't want to take what I've got into the next, because I suffer with it. I don't want to make anyone else suffer, and I'm not healed. I'm not at all okay. And that was cool. I've got a whole huge thing to go through next that I don't want anyone else to suffer through. It's going to be hard enough on my friends, let alone any sort of relationship I might have, So I just feel like for me personally, it's going to take time. But there are some people out there who heal with people better, and that's not to say that's wrong too, I just think it's different strokes for different folks, Was that a TV show? I'm pretty sure it was.
Yeah, Different Strokes. Yeah, it was a TV show.
Gary.
Well, and I think whatever's healthy for you, I think as long as you're doing something in a healthy manner, at the end of the day, that's what's the most important, right? Because when you're doing what's healthy, you're making healthy choices, and you're taking care of yourself, and all of that stuff that we talk about, self-care, self-esteem, healing, intent, all of that, it's going to fall into that. It all falls under that umbrella of just being healthy. And that's why I like healthy versus unhealthy, as opposed to good and bad. Good and bad have a lot of weight to them,
That's
right?
true.
And it can really make you feel guilty for doing something that seems bad. You can be like, oh, I'm a bad person. This is a bad situation. I got myself into a bad situation. I'm so stupid. How could I do this? How could I let this happen to me? Like, why didn't I see this? Okay, well, that'll spin you out in a bad way. But if you look at it and you're like, all right, that was really unhealthy. How could that have been a healthier situation? What can I learn from it? It's a whole different way of seeing things, And that's why I said, I like healthy and unhealthy versus good and bad. It makes the choices, I wouldn't say easier, but it brings a different light to it,
Yeah.
So,
That's like with food too. It should be healthy and unhealthy rather than good and bad foods. It's just it changes the way that things are in your brain. Instead of it being like this is bad for my body, it's like this is not so healthy for my body in large amounts because everything is okay in moderation. But it's sort of, we kind of need to start doing that with a lot of things. Is this a good healthy situation or an unhealthy situation?
Right.
Although maybe not so much with car accidents, although sometimes car accidents can be unhealthy for you. But it's like good and bad sometimes is good. But and I think when we're talking about us as people, it should be healthy and unhealthy because we've gotten so used to negative words and all that sort of stuff. And we should start reframing things in a more positive light for ourselves and other people, and then maybe things will get positive for everybody else around us. And that's not to say that I agree with toxic positivity. Nothing is all good all the time. So I'm not going to go like, oh, you broke your leg, that's fine, just get through it. Don't worry about it, it's all good. But there was something I posted the other day that kind of made a lot of sense. I can't think of what it was. And it was like positivity. It was the difference between positivity and something else. And it's like, yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Because positivity is like saying, I can't remember what it was. I have to go find it. But it was a really good way of saying it, like something about saying you'll get through it rather than sitting there and eating popcorn with them while they get through it type thing, So I can't remember what the words were, but it was good. I'll see if I can find it later and post it in the Facebook group.
Well, and going back to food, I know that's a struggle a lot of people have, and I know this is Mental Health Awareness Month. Maybe one way to reframe that too for people who struggle with that, a way to look at it as healthy versus unhealthy. If you want a cheeseburger, an unhealthy choice might be McDonald's, right? It might not be the healthiest way to have a cheeseburger, but if you make the cheeseburger yourself and you have the fresh lettuce and tomato and the organic bun or whatever it is you do, or no bun at all, then you can feel a little healthier about it, right? You can feel a little more positive about it because you did it, you created it with intention to be healthy, and it's a better option for you. Now, I understand you can't always just cook up a cheeseburger, but if you look at it that way too, that can help you with food struggles. Because those are a really different thing. And it's really hard to see food in a healthy way. And so anytime that you can, like look at that and say, oh, this came from nature, this is going to be really great, instead of, like eating some grapes or strawberries or blackberries instead of eating a pint of yogurt or ice cream. So that's another way too.
And also, you can also look at it as like, as long as I'm not having this every meal every day, that's fine, because sustenance is sustenance, regardless of what it is, especially if you struggle to eat.
Right.
But see, with me, I love cooking. I struggle to eat, but I love cooking. So I'd rather make the cheeseburger than go to Macca's because I know it's in Macca's, and I worked there for a long time. Australian Macca's anyway. But so I'd rather make the cheeseburger myself because then I might eat it, and if I don't eat it, I'll snack through it, and I can't snack through someone else cooking my cheeseburger because I wouldn't like that very much if I went back then. Can I just go into the middle? Because I actually bought a burger the other day for Hungry Jack's. I think you call it Burger King over there, and I bought one, and it's the one type that I'll eat, and I still couldn't eat it, and it was like, I went through the ordering and I really wanted it, and we waited in line for ages because it was a public holiday. Everyone had the same idea, turns out. And I got it home and I'm just like, I can't eat it now. But it was more of a, but at least I keep trying. As long as I keep trying, I'll get through it. Yeah. But, but it's not like I have an unhealthy relationship with food. It's just, I think I have an unhealthy relationship with myself.
And when you are struggling to eat, I think anything that you eat is good, and eat it. If you're hungry for it, absolutely eat it. And don't be afraid of it. There's no shame there. And then once you kind of get to that point where you can where you're eating and you're hungry again, then that's for me when I kind of can get tripped up. And so it, you know, it's a very complicated thing. But yeah, if you're struggling to eat, absolutely eat whatever.
Whatever.
And then,
Go
you know,
from there.
like get the sustenance in there. Yeah. And it's, you know, it's funny because it's like we go through these phases of our life, right? With regret, forgiveness, whatever. And sometimes you do really, really well with it. And then other times you don't. But that's life. And you are going to have those ups and downs. And you are going to have times where it's easier. And then you're going to have times where it's not. So in the times when it's not so easy, be gracious to yourself, because it will get easier. You know, I mean, it doesn't mean it's going to happen overnight. But I think the most important thing is just don't beat yourself up, you know.
I think also knowing that you've been through it means that you'll probably get through this next one as well.
Yes, I agree.
Helps,
yeah.
You know? Yeah. Also, how are you, Christy?
I'm good. I'm in Kansas. There's a tornado watch out, but I'm doing what all Kansans do, and I'm just carrying on with life. So until they say it's a warning, right? Until they say it's a warning and the sky goes black and sirens start going off, I'm not really going to worry about it.
How's Mary Heard doing?
You know what? Oh my gosh. Okay, so I've got some really cool news, but there's a doggy door for the first time ever. They have a doggy door, and Mikey just is like a little kid. He like goes in and out and in and out, and he runs around and he barks and he goes in and out and in and out. And Sweetie, she'll go in and out a couple of times, and then she gets over it, and then she comes and just lays down. And Shitty Kitty has not gone outside yet, which that doesn't bother me because there are like coyotes and things like that around. So if she doesn't go out, that's all right. So they're good. Traveling was really interesting. So I'm glad that we're here. It's a really adorable little house. It's got 3 bedrooms and 2 bathrooms, and it's just set up really nice, kind of out in the country. Not as out in the country as I was in Kentucky. I can get to El Dorado in like, I don't know, 10, 15 minutes. Yeah. And it's really green and it's really amazing. And the good news is I'm staying here for a while. So Michael and I had a conversation, and then we talked to Mindy about it. And I'm actually not going to go to the next several jobs with him, and I'm really okay with it. So I'm going to get to stay here and, you know, help Mindy out, but also have a place. And I'm super excited because I've got family and friends here. And so it's a very different situation than what Kentucky was, where I didn't know anybody. I've got aunts and uncles and cousins. And so, and it's only 8 hours from my kids and not too far from anything else. And it's pretty easy. Michael would be able to come back here a lot easier than he would be able to go back to Kentucky. So, yeah. So
Nice.
I've got a little room all picked out for my studio, so I'm very excited.
So this is your destination then?
Yeah. Like I didn't know it was my destination when I got here. I thought it was like my destination for 3 weeks, and then we kind of started talking about it. And it's got a really great front porch. I'm all about front porches. You know, like after being in the South, I love to decorate. So I'm like looking at the porch. I'm like, oh, we could do like a big plant here and here and here and potted flowers here. And then I could have like patio furniture here. And I could paint this and I could move that. So
adorable.
Front porches aren't such a big thing here in Australia, but I've always wanted to sit on one in a rocking chair and just whittle down a stick to nothing there and look at the neighbors.
If I'm at a place, I'm always going to have a front porch. So, Cosmic, if you ever come over here, I will find you a stick that you can whittle down.
Nice.
And I'll make you some sweet tea, and, you know, we'll watch the lightning bugs. It'll be great.
Awesome.
But, yeah.
I really like the idea of that, to be honest.
Yeah, well, hey, we're headed into summer, so if you need a break, you can come over. You can fly into Wichita. I'll come pick you up.
I'm going to Wichita.
Yeah,
I will have to. I
but
will definitely have to get some Ruby slippers, and I know
yeah,
all
oh
the
yeah,
songs to Wizard of Oz. So
yeah.
I will make everyone crazy.
Oh no, there's a lot of people around here who really groove on that. It's kind of half and half. Like some people are really over all of that, and then some people are like, yeah, it's what we're known for.
On a lollipop kid outfit. Anyway, I gotta go. I want to see Mia before she goes to school today, so I'll keep listening though.
Okay.
All right, bye.
Well, hopefully.
Bye.
And the other thing that's amazing is Mindy has some of the cutest little Frenchies you've ever seen. There's like teeny tiny ones, and then there's like ones that are a month old, and then there's like full grown ones. And she's got, I'm not joking, y'all, she's got like 30 of them. And so you can go love them all. And they have a little pink dress with flowers. And she's got this little white one. And she put the little, so this is what I told her I wanted to do. And I'm going to do it. I just don't know when, but she's got this little white Frenchie that is like the cutest little baby ever, and she's got this pink dress, and I'm gonna wear my pink dress, and I'm gonna get my pink Kate Spade bag, and I'm gonna put my big sunglasses on and my red lips, and me and this dog are gonna have the most bougie picture taken ever. Me and this dog in a pink dress, and I'm gonna love it. Yeah. But yeah, it's amazing. She's just like, Kirsty. She goes, you're and I was like, look at these dresses. But no, so we're definitely going to do some stuff with the Frenchies, have them running around, or in so you guys can see them. Oh God, they're so adorable.
I bet they're so cute.
Oh God, they're adorable. And then Michael's like, so how much do you sell these for? And she's like, $2,500 to $6,500, and he's like, oh, he's like, oh, but yeah, they're super adorable, and they got the flattest, nastiest little faces.
They're smooshes.
Oh yeah. And then I come back over here to these two, and I'm like, yeah, well, here we are. But how's everybody else doing? I haven't seen y'all for a while. And the good news is, hey, I am in the right time zone now. So 3:40 means 3:40. I don't have to math to figure out what time I'm actually supposed to be on.
Perfect.
That's, yeah.
If I can chime in first on your question, I'm doing really well. Christy, I appreciate you asking. I do have to hop off though, because I go live in 30 minutes and I want to give myself a little bit of space in between.
Yeah.
So
thanks for helping.
It was nice to thank you so much. It's always a pleasure. And if you can make it, I hope to see you in 30 minutes over at my channel.
Cool.
Okay.
Awesome.
Perfect.
Yes, definitely.
I'll be able to make the first bit.
Right on. I'll see you later.
There's a space launch tonight that one of the ladies at the house is very, very excited about. We already watched the one this afternoon. That was the Falcon 9 SpaceX part. And now she really wants to see the one at 10 o'clock.
SpaceX. Okay. Is this next one coming up SpaceX as well?
They're put NASA astronauts in it, but SpaceX is a part of it. Yes.
Okay.
So it's 10:39 my time is the launch, but everything's going to start at around 8 o'clock. So they'll start getting the astronauts on the craft at about 8 o'clock. And she's super into it. And I'm just like, you can use my laptop. It's fine. Enjoy yourself.
Where are they going? Are they just going into space? Are they headed off to Mars? Like, where are they? Oh, okay.
Going to the space station. Yeah.
Awesome.
And they're only spending a week and then coming back. And they also, with the Falcon 9, the little pods that they come back to Earth with, and they just usually end up in the ocean. They did a test run today with one that was not manned, and it landed almost bullseye on this little platform in the middle of the ocean from, not people inside, but outside steering it so that it would end up, landing on the platform. So it would it ultimately makes it much cheaper having that pod to be able to reuse versus it falling to the bottom of the ocean, and now we have to rebuild another one the next time we decide to do space exploration. So
Interesting.
yeah, I'm trying to do lots of things to keep my brain active. And actually, what you were saying, that the healthy versus unhealthy, it's something I'm trying to apply to anger right now.
Okay.
So I find myself angry from yesterday's event, and it's not like anything bad happened. It went a lot better than I expected, but it pulled me back to the previous situation where now I feel angry. And it's like, well, do I feel angry in a healthy manner, or do I feel angry in an unhealthy manner? And trying to process that. But with my neurodivergence, I'll sit in it and I'll process it too much at one time, and I'll end up exhausted, which is what happened last night. So I've been on the exercise bike today. I've gone for a walk. I'm going to watch this space thing later because I know so much about space. I'm going to watch this space thing later. This way it gives my brain timed breaks. Otherwise, I'm going to sit and I'm going to linger in it. And then that's the unhealthy part for me. I'm not actually processing when I'm lingering in it.
Yeah.
So trying to find the healthy ways to take care of it.
Well, and anger is one of those things that, we just kind of were taught. I mean, I was taught, it's just bad to be angry. Yeah. And it's not unhealthy to be angry. It's very healthy to be angry if you come from a positive place with it. I mean, like, Ben, what are you laughing? Are you laughing at me?
Oh, sorry.
No, that's okay.
I'm laughing at. I forgot my mic was on. I was laughing at Matrix Rabbit. Do you want blood? That would be unhealthy.
That would be unhealthy.
Oh my goodness. That's good. Well, dream-wise, apparently that might be a thing, but
I mean, that's why we throw cheese and not, other things.
Yeah. And Rolling Stone asked if I was journaling. I am journaling a ton. And I'm also just trying to push myself to exhaustion with exercise. And I don't know if that's healthy or not. And I'm only trying to do it in like hour-long intervals, like an hour a day. I'm not letting myself go past that because I know I'm going to be super achy. I know I'm going to have pushed myself too hard. So like today I did a half hour on the spin bike and then went for a half-hour walk. But like that walk was like a speed walk. By the time that I got off the spin bike, I was drenched in sweat. Like I gave myself 3 hours in between them. So I wasn't doing them back to back. I made sure I ate. I made sure I wasn't just drinking coffee. Like I'm trying to take all of those steps.
Right.
It's just, it's the anger.
And I think if you're, exercising to get the anger out of your body and to process it, that's all right. But if you're exercising that much to not deal with it, then that might be a little unhealthy. So, because you have to get that energy out of your body, right? Like, I mean, you've got to get being angry out of your body, just like you have to get being sad out of your body. And there's nothing wrong with that. Like Native American, ancient Lakota teachings teach that that's what you do. You get that out of your body, whether it's a brisk walk or, you go to one of those anger rooms where you chuck hatchets at the wall, I don't know, whatever you got to do, but you do have to get it out of your body. And then you bring in the positive, or the healthy behind it. So, it's not, I mean, that could be a very healthy way to do it.
And I've made sure that I told the social workers here that I'm struggling with it. So I'm not doing this in silence where nobody knows. Like that's something that I've done previously with anger. I'm not struggling alone. I'm making sure that I'm telling them that I'm angry and which situations and parts I'm angry about. And before I forget, Zelda, there's been no setbacks. No, It was a very simple 30-second moment of my life that brought up so much crap that I just didn't expect. I didn't expect. So
well, and you're still fairly new in dealing, like, on the other side of it. So expect those things to happen because you're only, what, 8 months out of this?
6 months.
6?
Yeah.
6 months. So,
Yeah.
I mean, realistically, you've been in survival mode. You've just been trying to survive it. So it's not odd that it would flip you like that, you know? So again, be gracious with yourself because that's just parts that you need to heal. And you can write it down in your journal of like, this is what made me mad. And then, you know, truthfully, you can forget about it until you're ready to go back and face it, because maybe you're not ready to face it right yet. Maybe the emotion is too unhealthy for you to heal it right now. So you write it down, you get upset about it, you get it out of your body, and then you revisit it. Like nothing, healing does not mean that the moment it comes up that you have to face it and like stop everything you're doing and look at the brick wall and like take your sledgehammer and knock it down. Like you might just be like, all right, I'm going to have to come back to that because maybe it's just a little too much for you right now, you know? So you got to go find the smaller brick wall. and that's okay too. And that is healthy. You know, I mean, that is healthy. So I want you to know that too. Like if you're just not ready to deal with it right now, getting it out of your body, writing it down, knowing you need to come back to it. Trust me, universe isn't going to let you forget that.
You didn't learn that lesson yet, and then here it comes back.
Right? It's going to be like, okay, by the way, plunk, remember me? But, you know, but like I said, that can be very healthy. You know, if you're not in a place to deal with it, the unhealthy thing to do would be to sit there stuck in it and spin and waller and be swallowed up by it. So.
And this is the first time that I think I'm properly dealing with anger.
Okay.
Because I was raised that anger was not allowed. And then when I did react horribly and anger was involved, it was manipulated and twisted into you're insane. And this time, like, I'm coming here and I'm saying it. I've already talked to 2 social workers here and I'm saying, I'm angry. I'm just trying to find ways to disperse some of that energy because I can't sit in it. I can't sit in it for very long at all. And I don't know if that is I'm still trying to work out this part. Now, please, it happened yesterday. So we're like not even 24 hours from the event yet. But I'm still trying to figure out, am I avoiding by the exercising and all of that and trying to find things to do, or am I coping? So I made sure that I'm opening up as many avenues as possible to say, I'm angry and I need to go about this properly. I don't know what properly is, especially around anger. But I need to figure this out and I need to go about it properly.
Rolling Stone says it might help write a letter to burn.
Oh, that's a good idea.
Well, and what I was going to suggest was meditation or slowing down a little bit, because right now your body is in a heightened, like your adrenaline is kicked in, your cortisol is kicked in. And when those 2 things are kicked in, your brain doesn't work properly. Like it's just not designed to do that. You don't make good choices. You don't get enough oxygen. You don't get hungry. You don't manage stress because your body's like, oh my God, we got to stay alive. So I would really encourage you to take a relaxing walk. Go sit on the earth, like take your shoes off and walk around, or, you know, just take something, just bring it down and breathe about it, because it might be that all you need to do right now is just to understand, like, okay, I'm angry. It's healthy to be angry. And that's okay,
Yeah,
you know, and
is.
understand your feelings around it. But I think when you stay amped up like that, you don't allow yourself to drop into your body and allow yourself to feel that, because you're just, there's no way you can process it, right? And that's not you. I mean, that's everybody, you know, when all of that kicks in on you. So try, you know, maybe try that, and you might find your words. You know, you might find your words. You might be able to say, you know what? All I really needed to know right now is it's okay to be angry. And that's where this drops. And again, I understand this is very new, but, you know, when you're ready, take a bath, you know, just do something relaxing, because I have a feeling a lot of things will come to you in that moment.
See, and that makes sense. Like you just said, cortisol levels. Oh, sorry, Carol.
Zelda was just saying, but it when I get pissed, it can take me a few days to come down from it. That's natural human stuff right there.
Yeah. And then I was just going to say what Christy said exactly was, you know, my cortisol levels are up again. You know, it's nothing about this is going to be linear. And I get that. I really, really do. I just don't, and I'm human, I guess, you know, I just don't like when it comes in massive spouts of it. And it's just like, what do I do with this now? And it makes sense. If my cortisol levels are really, really high, I'm trying to get that energy out. But is that really what I need right now? The slowing down might be what I need. So maybe I'll pack a picnic, and there's a park close to me that I absolutely adore. And the fountains are on. I went today and the fountains are on. So I might go and have lunch there tomorrow and just kind of relax a little bit. But
and, you know, somebody told me this once too, and it's just like, it may not even apply to this situation, but it's okay to not know what to do right now. It's okay to not know how to process it. Like, that's okay too. Like, you know, you don't have to have the answer to every problem. You know, I mean, Rome wasn't built in a day. This might not be solved in a day. And maybe the best way to do it is, like you said, pack a picnic, go sit by the water, sit on the grass, you know, and just, but, you know, I think the biggest thing I've learned is that when your body is in that mode, you just are not, because you're in your emotional mind, you're not in your wise mind. And that's when we get wrapped around the axle with it. And so even just breathing and bringing it down, and that's not saying you don't have to, like, it's not okay to be mad or whatever. But the more that you spin like that, it's, you know, that's kind of an unhealthy.
It's the unhealthy
I didn't mean to do this.
Spinning is the unhealthy section. I need to try and, like you said, I need to kind of drop into my body to fully process in a healthy manner.
Right.
Where I'm not.
You can still be mad for 4 days. Right. And you can still be mad over it for 4 days. Just try to get yourself into that wise mind, because then that's where the healing comes. That's where the healing comes. That's where the understanding comes. That's where the reframing comes. That's where the not having regrets comes. As long as you're in that emotional mind, you're just going to spin out. Or, you know, you go to the other side and you become very Spock-like and you just have no emotions. You know, either one of those is tricky, you know.
Not
finding a happy
helpful.
medium.
Yeah.
Even though I adore Spock.
Right. I mean, we all love Spock, but you know, I mean, but again, you know, when you just kind of shut off your emotions, when you just shut off your emotions, that doesn't get you anywhere either. I mean, it drops your cortisol level down, but you kind of like, all of your giving a flips went out the window.
Oh yeah, all the flips were not functioning at all this morning. Not at all.
Right.
I have a pair of yoga pants that makes me look like I'm not wearing pants. So I put them on today and I didn't even notice. I just put them on and I was going to just go on the spin bike, go for a walk. I'm getting all of these looks. Okay? Completely forgot I'm wearing my yoga pants that look like I have nothing on.
First of all, what fashion designer came up with flesh-colored yoga pants? That is such a bad idea. Like, somebody should have lined that person out.
I like it.
They're lighter than my skin tone, but most people don't recognize that. They don't look at my face or my hand against the pants. They're just looking at it's peach.
I mean, there's.
I was gonna say, it reminds me of Sex in the City where she was wearing the naked dress.
Oh.
My naked yoga pants. I
You
was
mean-
out for like 2 hours.
Yeah. I just, there are certain fashion things that you really just go,
Why?
and you wouldn't think about it when they're on the shelf because you pick them up and you're like, oh, those are really cute. Oh my goodness, that's adorable. And then you go home and you put them on, you're walking around. Next thing you know, your husband's like, do you got breeches on? And like, I do.
They've even got like a gold, almost like leopard print, but they're like spotted so that it's very hard to tell the leopard print when you're far away. They just look peach. And then when people get closer, they're like, oh, I see the seam and the gold leopard print now, but not from 10 feet away.
Oh man.
At least I got, a good kick out of that today.
Right. Yep.
Laughing is a great way to get out of the anger too. Or
Mhm.
distraction. If you can't bring your cortisol down, what my therapist always reminds me of is distraction. Sometimes I'll help bring it down, and then you can go into your body and do the picnic and actually relax a little bit. So don't feel bad if you have to kind of distract yourself and kind of step away from it for a little bit.
Yeah, and that's what I'm going to try and do with this tonight, because I really enjoy the lady that wants to watch the space thing, because, that's what I'm saying. It's the space thing. Give me Star Wars, give me Star Trek, I can talk about it. Let's talk real space. Nope, can't do it. But I really enjoy her company, and she's a positive, like she tries to think everything positively. So she said there's always going to be negative stuff in life, but uses the other word. You just need to sit in the positive stuff. Again, uses the other word. So, it's nice to have those reminders. So it's kind of like I have like my own little peer support group right beside me sometimes.
That's good. That's good.
So I'm just like, trying to soak that part of it in today. I've not fully allowed myself yet, because I felt like I had it for myself, like I felt like I had it. I felt like I had a good grip on everything. And then I understand it's natural, but it's that form of, I need control. And I didn't have it for so long, and now I've gotten control back, and now I've lost it. I feel like I've lost it. I understand that I haven't fully, but it just feels like I've lost it.
Yeah.
Well, and reframing it around the control is, before you just spun out in your anger and, went to unhealthy solutions, now you get to control how you respond to the anger. So it's not the anger itself that is the problem, it's your response to it. So you get to control that. We don't get to control what makes us angry. We don't get to control any of that, but we can control our responses. And that is a really important thing. Maybe if you're looking at it from a sense of control, I feel like I lost control because I got angry. Well, you can take back that control from, how you manage it. And that's more empowering, I think. So.
Yeah. And the fact that I get it back for myself, that's another thing, because for so long, nothing I've been able to take for myself. So like the tiny little victories where I'm able to do it for myself, I'm trying to, that's a gratitude journal portion for me. When I'm able to take those controls for myself, I'm able to take those reins, and whatever that situation is, that goes into my gratitude journal, because so much I wasn't able to control. Even when I was trying, or I thought I was controlling my reactions, I really wasn't. You know, that's a factor that I played into that situation. As much as I thought I was controlling them and I felt like, well, no, I have the right to react this way. Maybe I did have the right, okay? But it doesn't mean I wanted to react that way.
Right.
So that's the point where it's like, okay, I get to have these controls. I need to appreciate them for what they are. And that those portions have to be a little bit separate. So I kind of feel like once I get a good manage on this portion, like the anger portion, that's another portion of the control that I'm able to say that I've got back for myself.
Right.
If that makes sense.
No, it does. Yeah, it does. It really does. So.
Oh, hi, Jeremy. I'm waving at the wrong screen.
My trip is.
I wanted to. Go ahead.
Go ahead. No, go ahead.
Oh, I just wanted to share something with you guys, but you go ahead. You were reading something.
No, I was just saying that my trip is caught up with me and I am exhaustipated.
Gotcha. I hear you.
And
exhaustipated. I love that word.
What were you going to say? I'm sorry.
It's okay. And then I promise I won't talk much more. I'm joking. So our wonderful Vicki Molesky, she sent me a couple of things a few weeks ago, and I've been waiting for them to get over the border, and I just wanted to share them with you guys because it was our Steve. So I was able to get one of the memorial cards.
Nice.
I got one of those.
And there's a nice little prayer on the back as well.
Yes.
And a little cardinal.
Love
I love that. Yeah.
So it was another one of those moments where it was like I needed that little bit of Papa Bear, and it came this morning. So
nice.
It was nice. I just wanted to share that with you guys and say thank you to Vicki publicly.
Yes, thank you, Vicki.
Awesome.
I got mine too. I appreciate it.
Yes.
Very cool.
But I am going to say goodnight because I should eat some food before I start setting up the laptop for this real life can't even say it, space exploration stuff. Gonna have to watch some Star Wars later just to make it all easier in my head. But good night, everybody, and thank you for tonight. I really appreciate it.
Right on.
Yeah.
Right
Well, enjoy the space lunch.
Yes.
Thank you. See the space stuff. You know, you've got the right words. I've got the stuffs.
Do you know where she's watching it? Do you know what she's watching it on?
I have it on YouTube actually.
Okay.
There is a channel that we were watching earlier. Give me 1 second. Or if you want, I can send you the link.
Yeah, that'd be good. Yeah, I appreciate
Okay, I'll go to my history and I'll send you the link. If anybody else wants it, just Facebook me.
There you go.
All right. Good night, guys.
Good night.
I'm going to go too. I had today off, but it was a lot of chores and doctor's appointments and lots and lots of stuff. So I did good things that will long-term help my health, but it was just a little fatiguing for my vacation day going toward stuff that was just work and no nap.
Right. Oh.
So I am a little fatigued. So I can feel you, Carol, a lot.
I drove. We drove there. We drove to Indianola, Mississippi to stay, and then it was another hour and a half into Lexington from there. So we got up, drove to Lexington. The guy met us at the gravesite and put the stone in for us, and then we literally went to Church's Chicken and then headed straight out. So it was nothing but driving, pretty much. Yeah. So, and then we took a detour in Arkansas to see his mom for about an hour, and then
nice.
Yeah, we were sitting there like poking each other and everything we could do to keep each other awake. I had to stay awake to keep him awake and vice versa.
Right.
Yep.
Right.
We shouldn't have been driving like that, but we did.
Well, my trip was I listened to the Audible, the book The Day After Roswell on Audible, and was listening to it. It was a 12-hour long book into an 18-hour trip. So I listened to the whole book, and then I was listening to it, and then I had all of these thoughts, and I sent Ben like 5-10 minute voice clips of like, so the aliens did this and the government did that and what explained this. And then I was talking about the ancient aliens, dude. I'll show you this. And you know how I described him? I'm like, you know, the guy with the sticky up hair with the really big forehead. That's always helpful. But yeah, that was my driving. We got here at 2:30 in the morning. So I was like super thankful to get here. Yeah, I just kind of crawled into bed and went, and yeah. So, and now, like I said, I'm going to go do the Kansas thing, and I'm going to sit on my front porch and watch the tornado. I'm going to sit on the front porch of my trailer and watch the tornado, y'all. So,
Is there a tornado coming?
Yeah, it's like really extreme weather here, like from Wichita into Oklahoma and around. Like they're saying it's not just going to be like possibly one tornado; it's going to be several, and they're calling for like baseball or grapefruit size hail. So of course we put the vet in the garage, but then I realized my car only had liability, and if all of my windows got smashed, like that's going to be really expensive. So we put it in the garage as well. And now we're just kind of, the wind's been blowing pretty good. It's not really kicked up rain, but it's supposed to start doing that around 6-ish. And it's supposed to go until, I think, 11 or midnight, something here. So yeah, you know, I mean, I might take a little video and, you know, do the Kansas thing. Like, who needs to hide in the root cellar? We're going to sit out on the front porch and take a video of this thing.
Please tell me you have a basement. I will worry.
No, we're good. Yeah, no, we're good. We're good. We've got a place to go, and if it gets that bad, I'm just gonna hold on to Michael and be like, okay, you're stronger than the two of us. Keep us. It'll be like Twister. I'm holding on to his belt. But no, it'll be fine. We'll be fine. Yeah, don't worry. I'm just teasing. I have been through a couple tornadoes, and I do take them seriously. So, you know, when it gets too bad, I'm gone. I don't stick around. Right. So, all right. Well, you all have a good one, and hopefully I will make it tomorrow, and I will see you then.
Bye.
Bye.
To all of you guys too. I'm gonna go and take care. Good night.
You too, Becca. Night.
You have yourself a great evening. Say hi to the donkey for me.
I will do that.
Hopefully there's no tornadoes in Arkansas.
Yeah, I need to check the weather because something looks like it's trying to brew around here. So I need to go and check the weather.
Oh, you say hi to the chickens for me too.
I will do that.
All of them.
Okay, every single one of them. You got it.
Take care. Have a great day. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Whew, you guys, I am going to recover, but it's going to take a little time. That's all. I hope to see you again next meeting. And until then, peace, y'all.